Hey, Vern, you're not going to believe who I got on the show today. This here is Nassim Taleb. And golly bob howdy, is this feller smart. I've got my work cut out for me on this one, but I've been educating myself in preparation. Because, tell me, let you me, we're going to be talking with a bona fide intellectual here. So sit back and put your thinking cap on. I've already got mine on. Know what I mean? Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. I'm a huge fan. I've read all your books, or at least tried. I really like The Black Swan. I love swans. They kind of remind me of the geese back home. Know what I mean?
Okay.
Anyhow, I'm chomping at the bit to talk about some of your ideas and philosophy and book learning stuff. Where do you think we should start?
Well, it's really up to you. You're the interviewer. You're interviewing me.
Oh, yeah, well, how about we start at the beginning? Know what I mean? So how did Nassim Taleb get his start?
Actually, it's Nassim Nicholas, but I got my start in financial markets as a trader. Okay, so I really wanted to be a philosopher ever since I was a kid, but I wound up as a trader to start off with.
Now, why didn't you start as a philosopher then? Did your parents push you into trading? You know, my daddy always wanted me to be a musician, but I never could get more than a bar or two before dropping the spoons right out of my hands.
No, it was because during my childhood, there was an outbreak of civil war in Lebanon. And that proved a substantial obstacle to my goals and limited my options, no pun intended. And so I eventually wound up in the United States and enrolled in business and mathematics courses. And that eventually led to me trading derivatives on the open financial markets, where I did quite well.
You know, I'm a student of the financial markets myself, believe you me. I trade all sorts of stuff. Baseball cards, handmade bracelets, captured roly-polies. Yeah, business is real good these days. But at some point, you got to think about retiring. Know what I mean?
Well, the kind of trading I did was a bit different. You see, I was trying to take advantage of fat tails via out-of-the-money put options, which would protect my portfolio from significant losses in the event of a market crash or other adverse events. I believed fundamentally that things like the Black Scholes model underestimated the impact of rare and unpredictable events. Anyway, don't worry about it. Next question.
You betcha. So, Mr. Taleb, do you have any tips you can share with the rest of us who might not be as savvy and in the know as you are when it comes to investing and money stuff?
Okay, so my specialty is risk and how to deal with uncertainty in particular. The thing that one should be aware of in the markets, or really in any system, is not only the possibility of unlikely events occurring, but the disproportionate impact of these unlikely events, okay? In other words, fat tails. And with this knowledge, you need to position yourself so that you expose yourself to these fat tail events, but at the same time, limit your risk so you don't blow up.
Well, if there's one thing I can say about my experience in investing, it's I came, I saw, I got blown up.
It happens to a lot of people.
Ain't that the truth? Well, what next? Oh, yeah. My old buddy Vern gave me a copy of your book, Anti-Fragile, for Christmas. I haven't read it yet. I promise I will. But is there anything in there in particular that you want to explain to the audience? Just as, you know, kind of like a sneak preview?
Okay, Ernest, you're an intellectual yet hillbilly, so you'll understand this. This was one of the more nuanced points from the book. Sometimes a function of an average is not an average of functions. The behavior of the function is such, as we say, not the same thing. The function of something becomes different from something under non-linearities. Now, the more volatile the something, the more uncertainty, the more the function divorces itself from the something. If the function is convex or anti-fragile, then the average of the function of something is going to be higher than the function of the average of something. Know what I mean? Okay, I see you're confused. Let's move on to something else, okay?
You know, Mr. Taleb, I've always wanted to ask you about something you wrote in your other book, Fooled by Randomness, about casinos and gambling and such. I'm a bit of a gambler myself and sometimes take trips to Vegas. I try to get Vern to go with me, but he always seems busy for some reason. Anyways, I was wondering if you could talk about how ergodicity works in casinos and such.
Wow, Ernest. Ergodicity. That's good. That was one of the most sophisticated points in the book.
Well, I'm just a sophisticated kind of guy. Know what I mean?
So let's take an example of betting the odds. If someone offers you a bet, you have 70% probability of making $1 and 30% probability of losing $1. Should you take it? Well, no. And this is very counterintuitive. And the reason you shouldn't take the bet has nothing to do with being risk averse. It's simply not a good strategy. You need to consider a one-period model versus a multi-period model. In other words, risk-taking is an ongoing activity and not a single event. So you need to consider that the long-term outcome is going to be the same, pretty much as the Shannon entropy. Why? Simply because the whole idea of Shannon entropy is based on how much noise you should have in your channel. There's a sweet spot, too much noise, and the message will not go through. Too little noise, and it's not optimal. And it's the same thing here. So even if you have the odds and you bet below a certain level, guess what? You're going to go bust.
Hang on a minute. Just give me a second here. This should stop in just a bit.
Okay, Ernest, I think we're done here.
Ernest P. Worrell. Even as a lad, he was sensitive and caring, as cunning as a fox and as slippery as a herring, whimsical and mellow, a hale and hearty fellow, not formal.